Okay, we will call the City of Milton Common Council meeting to order Tuesday, December 6, 2016 at 7 p.m. And can I get confirmation of appropriate meeting notice?
The meeting was noticed here at City Hall, the Piggly Wiggly, and Dave's Ace Hardware.
Thank you. And can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries and we have an agenda. Item number 3 is public comments regarding items which can be affected by council action. Do we have anybody signed in?
No.
Not like, raise your hand if you're signed in. Okay, all right.
Okay. Weird to talk about tickets that Scott gave him, but.
So we will move on to number 4, approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding a contract for Baxter and Woodman to perform engineering services for the city in 2017.
This is a renewal of the contract for Baxter and Woodman, who have been our engineers for 9 years. So this would be a renewal of the contract for 2017. This was reviewed by Public Works a mere 20 minutes ago, and they recommended approval to the council. There is no price increase for the contract in 2017. So,
Could I make a minor adjustment in the minutes to October 6th for the Public Works Committee and their minutes?
Oh, I think we'll have to back up to do that. Do you,
finish this one.
let's finish this one and then we'll consult with Mark because we've already.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, you've all had the opportunity to review the contract, and are there any questions or comments?
The Public Works Committee recommended to go forward with it, to renew the contract.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Public Works Committee motion for updating our engineering service. We aren't on the are we on 4B or 5?
5.
Okay.
We're on item number 5. We've
Thank
already.
you so much for Baxter and Woodman contract to be renewed.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further comment or discussion?
The part is, I'm just kidding.
Is everybody with us on number 5?
Thank you.
Okay.
I missed on the.
I just wanted to say that I think that Baxter and Woodman has done a lot of very wonderful things with us, and I'm especially pleased that they're not raising their price and still giving us the good service that they are.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So, Mark, Nancy would like to go back on something we already voted on?
I do apologize. If I read it more correctly, we were on October 4th, and I misread November. I apologize.
So did you want to change anything or are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Keep it down over there. Okay, so I do have a question about item 6. Is this something we're going to discuss now and in closed session or?
No, we won't discuss it in closed session. We can discuss it in open session.
Okay,
And just to clarify, the reason that there's both an open session and closed session item is that the open session item deals with the discussion about ratification. If it's determined that the council doesn't wish to ratify the contract as prepared and wants to discuss negotiating strategy, then that's the reason for the closed session.
okay. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about that? Okay.
So I sent out the information under a separate email as we finalized the contract after the police union ratified it last week. discuss some of the highlights of the contract. Obviously, there's a myriad of changes in there, a lot of wordsmithing and things of that nature that don't have a substantive impact on it. But ultimately, there was 4 areas that what we considered, I guess, to be highlights of the contract, and I use that word for lack of a better word, but 4 major substantive matters that were addressed in the contract. That being the wage increases for the 3 years of the contract, the health insurance contributions for the 3 years of the contract, the sick leave accrual for the 3 years of the contract, and then ultimately the post-employment health plan change, in which we went from a defined benefit to a defined contribution. As outlined in those in the memo, those changes will have a financial impact in years moving forward. They won't affect the budget that was adopted last week, so that's good news for 2017, and they will have a financial impact in 2018 and 2019, but we believe that that impact is something that can be managed within the budget process, hopefully. The major takeaway from this, and probably one of the item that garnered the most discussion, was the matter of the post-employment health plan. Under the previous contracts for the last number of years, there has been a defined benefit that the city has not funded. So it ultimately presented or posed a large unfunded long-term liability for the community that would have been very difficult for the community for the community to satisfy at some point when that benefit became due to those employees that were represented under the contract. So through the negotiation process and the give and take of the negotiation process, the city administration presented a plan that would change from a defined benefit to a defined contribution, in which individuals covered by the contract would receive an annual payment towards a post-employment health plan. That post-employment health plan would then accrue over the course of their tenure here while employed at the city of Milton, up to 20 years, in which they would become vested. So what that means is ultimately they would accrue these funds, they would own these funds, but they would only be able to take ownership of the funds in a sense that they would be able to use those funds to withdraw from if they stayed here for 20 years or retired from the city of Milton, which I guess whichever came first. That defined contribution, again, eliminates the long-term unfunded liability for the city to the tune of about $500,000, and was something that was kind of on Dan and I's radar pretty much since we came here 2 years ago, and we knew that was kind of a slow-moving iceberg that we were headed for, and if we weren't able to fix that situation, we would have found ourselves in some pretty dire financial straits at the time that those dollars became due to those employees. It is an unfortunate situation, and we certainly did recognize that with the police union, that this benefit was promised to them, but then actually never funded. So through this new proposal that we have provided to them, and then they ratified last week, they will receive a very similar cash value bonus, or I shouldn't say bonus, a very similar cash value benefit that makes it much easier and more sustainable for the city to fund, in that we fund it on an annual basis as opposed to a lump sum at the end of their career. So we're able to plan more effectively to fund that benefit to those affected by the contract. There are only 8 members of the police union, so it may seem strange that the unfunded liability was upwards of $500,000, but ultimately that's what it was. So we knew we needed to address that issue. The police union certainly knew that this issue needed to be addressed. They were frustrated that it hadn't been addressed in years past, but through this plan and through this approach, we were able to work with the police union to come to an agreement in which they, again, would receive a very similar benefit in cash value that they would have under the old plan, but in this way would allow the city to sustainably fund it and actually make good on our promise, really. So we do view it as a win-win. The police department ratified it, so I believe they view it as a win as well. So we are very pleased and fortunate to work with a group that had the foresight and understanding of the situation that the city was in, while also understanding that, you know, we're not here to break promises. We're here to make good on those promises. And through this approach that we took through this negotiation, we were able to do that without, in essence, really bankrupting the city at the end of the day. So I think at the end of the day, this is really puts us in a position of financial security that we weren't in before, takes off an unfunded liability from the books that could have potentially had a detrimental effect on our long-term bond rating. We had to show this on our financial reports as an unfunded liability, which was something that was brought up under our last audit. Again, it seems complicated, and it may not seem like that big of a deal, but it was something that Dan and I had talked about for the entire 2 years we've been here, knowing that we were going to have to face this under this negotiation, or kick it down the road, which we knew wasn't acceptable either. So that is the big takeaway from the contract, at least from our perspective. There are modest wage increases for the police union that we hope would be commensurate for those that are in the non-represented category as well. But time will tell as the economy continues to change and the budget continues to change. Again, we have made those promises to the union that we intend to keep. Scott, Dan, did you want to add anything? You both were involved in that conversation.
I'll just say that this is being my first contract negotiated since I became chief here. Very pleased with how it went. As Al continued to communicate with you all, we had some hard stuff to talk about, but it was always respectful. It was we got through those conversations in a way that not every administration union conversation goes. So I was very pleased with how it went from that standpoint. I think it was a true negotiation. We both came to the table with things we wanted, and we didn't get everything we asked for. But that's how these things go anyway. So I was very pleased with how it went.
Dan?
Just to reiterate some of the stuff Al talked about, I think they recognized that they saw the iceberg, so to speak, and they wanted some reassurances that there would be something available to them on a post-employment situation. And so this was truly a win-win, because they understood that we couldn't come up with the actuarial amount of $65,000 a year for the next 30 years to fund this liability also. So, and this allows them to invest the money and get some sort of market return that we can't legally do as an entity, as a government entity.
I would just add, and this is not meant to be critical of any of our Dan or I's previous predecessors, but I think it's pretty safe to say that this type of analysis has probably never been done with the amount of outstanding liability. And a lot of credit, as usual, goes to Dan for looking into this model, really kind of creating this model and recognizing how to get to the end without damaging our credibility, which was one of the most important things to me in this process. Was to really say if I promise you we're going to do this, then I really want to make good on it. And so I give a lot of credit to Dan for kind of shepherding this concept in.
And I just want to thank the negotiating teams on both sides, because in this day and age, that's not what we commonly hear, that things were respectful. And I think that I have always tried to encourage that we treat our employees with as much respect that they deserve, because they are dedicated, they're committed. And I know that this was really hard, and I know that everybody on both sides was really worried about it. And I think that says a lot for everyone that went to the table to negotiate, and that's something that we can really be proud of, that this was a big problem that we decided that we were going to take on and we were going to solve, and we weren't going to leave it for future councils or future administrations. And that's really what I like so much about our staff at the City of Milton, that each day we have been trying to resolve issues that really have been kind of ongoing for a while. So I'm very proud of all of you. So thanks.
Yeah, and I will also say, you know, as Scott pointed out, there was a lot of complex conversations that went on, and I give a lot of credit to Kyle and Ryan for being able to convey that information to the rest of the group. You know, we weren't able to get all 8 members of the police union in the room at the same time. It was, you know, in some ways it was impossible. Some of them were out on the street while we were having these negotiations. So a lot of credit to the negotiation team from the police side for being able to convey these rather complex issues back to the group as a whole and have them understand it to a degree where they felt comfortable with it. And I hope that was partially because of the trust that we established during this process, that kind of we mean what we say and we say what we mean. So thanks to Kyle and Ryan for that. And Luann, but she's paid to be there.
Does the city council have any questions? Does everybody understand the contract? Okay, is there any motions?
I'll make the motion that we approve the City of Milton union contract for the police union for December 31st, 2016 to December 31st, 2019.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further comments or questions or discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to number 7, general items. Does anybody have any general items?
I have a general item. I have a couple of general items. We were kind of having this discussion earlier in between the meetings, but could you and Mark clarify whether or not council members will be able to participate in other committee meetings or be present? I think that there's a little confusion. I know I didn't go to the public safety meeting because I knew that there was 3 council members and I would have made a quorum.
Right, so in fact, we have had previous discussions regarding this, and I thought it was made clear what the Department of Justice ruling was on this, but apparently there's still people that are confused about it. So I know that Mark is going to send out another email, but since it's brought up, Mark, do you feel comfortable addressing it now, or since there's council members that are confused about their roles and responsibilities?
Well, just as a point of information, at least it's the position of the Attorney General's office that in general, it's not appropriate for members of a governmental body like the Common Council to attend a committee meeting if they're not a member of that committee on the basis that there may be a quorum present as a result of that. And that the standard language that the city has been placing in its agenda items advising that there may be a quorum of the council present, but they won't be undertaking any business, that general language wasn't sufficient to avoid a possible open meetings violation. So that's their recommendation, is that as in this case, if members of a common council are not on a committee that's been appointed by the Common Council, that they not attend that unless there has been scheduled and noted in the agenda, I say a joint meeting between that committee and the Common Council, or between that committee and another committee. So if it's indicated by the mayor, then I'll just reaffirm that in another letter going out to all of you, which I'll send to Al, and then he can distribute to you.
Okay. So in light of that, could we have this on the next agenda and maybe decide how we will go about doing this going forward? I know that we've got Public Works, Public Safety, and then Personnel and Finance, where we've got 3 council members on those committees. So I'm wondering if we would be interested in doing the recording for the other members, or maybe we all need to do what we should have been doing all along and just give our our meeting reports so that everybody understands what any kind of discussion might take place.
So this is something that I've been giving a lot of thought to. You know, one of the initiatives that we took on in the beginning earlier this year was to have an ad hoc committee look at all of our committees and our structures, and actually made some recommendations. And it was really partially because of different concerns that were brought up by city council members and also by members of the public about these very issues. So what my intention was to do is to call that ad hoc committee back together to relook at this and to work on some council policies. There's some other policies that we think would be appropriate and helpful for the council, so we can prevent any further lawsuits because we're not following, rulings by the Attorney General. So, I mean, I think it's important that we follow those rulings. And from this point on, I think it's clear that you cannot have a quorum at these meetings. But, that's something that we can look at after we kind of straighten out everything else we have going on right now, is to have that committee relook at these.
Mm-hmm. And how is it going to be any different now with the fire commission because it's board and city, or is it pretty much the same?
Well, again, I don't know exactly what you're referring to there, but I would say if there's any inquiry like that, I would suggest that it be directed to the city administrator, Al, and then I can look at that and then I can respond to that. And if you then want to have an agenda item to discuss it in front of the council based on that, then it can be addressed that way, would be my suggestion.
Okay.
I don't want to be answering something that I'm not interpreting correctly, so.
So put the request into Al, and Al will forward it to Mark.
I think I understand your question, but we can talk about it.
Okay. Maxine?
Since my recollection of reading that letter, that was if it was not posted as a public meeting and that possibly there could be a quorum, a majority of the council members there, it was okay as long as it was posted. That's always been the rule.
It has been. That always has been the rule, and now it's not anymore.
Why do they keep changing all this?
Well, what happened is, my understanding is that there was a complaint that was filed, and they asked the Attorney General to make a determination, and the Attorney General has, and things change, and we have to follow. And things change, and we do not want any further lawsuits because of any misunderstanding regarding anything. So I know it's disappointing, but I do agree with Linda's, request that, hey, if you're on one of those committees, the chairs, should be reporting back to the city council then, with updates, and, that'll be the appropriate way to handle it really going forward.
Well, I, of course, have always attended the meetings because I felt it kept me up on everything, and there was a lot of things that didn't come back to the council. You can't keep other than the minutes and those are very vague now. So, it's one way for the council to keep up on things.
What I would suggest, Mayor, is that I prepare this letter, and if you want to have a agenda item so that that letter can be discussed and these points brought out, then that would be appropriate. Right now, it's kind of going beyond general items, which are just for purpose of information. It's getting more into discussion. So.
We'll do that. Linda, anything else?
Yes, I wanted to let everybody know that we had a very successful Merry Milton holiday this weekend. It was very well attended. The Scouts, both Boy Scouts selling the hot chocolate and the Girl Scouts with all those baked goods, they did very well in their profits. And then I also just want you to know that SMR photographer Shannon had taken pictures of the kids with Santa as she was doing it for food donations or $5 donation. She collected a box of canned goods, and then she also collected $62 towards the food pantry. So it was a very good weekend. And with that, I just want to let everybody know that in 2017, events that we can all be looking forward to and hopefully planning on attend would be the Civil War Living History Days for March 19th and 20th. Wally Fest, yes. Once again, June 2nd and 3rd. And then, of course, Chicken Barbecue and Arts and Crafts on the Lawn, August 19th. All very big events, including the 4th of July, that we have to look forward to in 2017. And that those things are being currently worked on by those committees.
Any other general items?
Civil War event is the 20th and 21st. Just mentioning that. Of May.
Get out your 2017 calendars, save the dates.
March 19th would be the school? The school date would be March 19th?
May 20th, May 21st.
Oh, May. Sorry.
Will be the Civil War Living History Day.
All right. Any other general items? Our next meeting will be Tuesday, December 20th, 2016 at 7 p.m. The other thing, if those of you on City Council do not have the employee handbook, which you are all required to follow, please request one so you can review it. And then if you have any questions at the next City Council meeting, you can direct those questions to me prior to coming to the next meeting, so everybody understands what the handbook says. Okay. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Our team building exercise, keeping along the theme of the holiday spirit. What is your favorite Christmas carol or Milton holiday event? So, I mean, it's two choices. And Howie is thinking really hard, so we'll start with the chief.
I'm going with Oh Holy Night.
Oh, all righty. Lisa?
I'll say Away in a Manger.
Okay. Linda? Nancy?
I went to one of the Christmas services, and there was a carol that I'd never heard of, Mary Did You Know, which was done by one of the local singers. It was quite outstanding. I'll keep that one.
That is a good one. Ryan?
Come Emmanuel.
Elena?
The first Noel.
Mine is Canon in D by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
I like them all, but and I like White Christmas.
Do you? Oh. Jeremy?
I really like Winter Wonderland, but Bruce Springsteen's Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's really good.
Awesome. And at the next council meeting, we will be live streaming Christmas carols. Dave? Okay. Dan?
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
Mark?
Silent Night.
Howie?
The Hawaiian Christmas song from Christmas Vacation. It always puts you in a good mood. So.
That's awesome. All right, great, you guys. Mayor and alderperson reports. Dave, we're going to start with you. Any reports? Jeremy? Maxine? Brian?
Nope, not this time.
Nancy? Linda?
Okay, I have three.
Go.
I think I mentioned at the last meeting that the tourism and development, we're adding stations to our TV commercial, not doing as many web runs as we did in the past. The fire department, I just want to thank Jenny for organizing Lauren's retirement party. It was very well attended. At the last fire department meeting, we had a pinning ceremony. There were 7 people that were pinned, which means that they passed their certifications and now they're official. Then also the furnaces were repaired and actually replaced in our current fire station. We're exploring shared services right now, and the department is working on standard operating guides for public works. I have to say thank you for everybody's patience because our Dumbo leaf sucker was out of service, but it did eventually get repaired, and that's just what everybody calls it, is Dumbo. So, but I would also ask that people keep in mind that in the upcoming weather changes, that our Department of Public Works works diligently to keep our streets clean and safe. They have a snow route that they follow, and they are also very aware of the temperature changes outside. And so I will thank people ahead of time for their assistance in keeping their snow out of the street and putting it in their yards and keeping their cars off the road and following that parking regulation. And now the fun one, I just want to say, our Milton Public Library, I want to give you a little bit of a history on it. We've gone from a storefront on Vernal Avenue to 430 East High Street, the Shaw Building. April 15, 2016, we had an open house for Milton's historic underground library. And this was a temporary library, and it still is there, until we complete the remodeling and the renovations of the 2 upper floors of the Shaw Building. Now, the library focus, since it's been down under, I'm happy to say that what they have been doing is a lot more community outreach. They've done the food truck rally in August. There was a 5K run in September. There's the pumpkin chunkin' in October. And then, of course, they also participated in the Merry Milton holiday festivities, which was also very well attended. A lot of the kids enjoyed the craft. They also do monthly visits to the youth center in Milton, and they do over 100 school visits throughout the year. Now, one of the goals that the library has, as they have doubled their space and planned for the renovation, was to create a true community library. We invited area partners to collaborate with us, so the library represented exactly what Milton is all about, and this includes the agricultural community, who raised money for the beautifully agricultural themed children's area that also teaches families about farming and interactive displays. The Milton College Preservation Society, who will display artifacts and documents from its 138-year history. The school district is also going to be represented with the Milton Red Hot Collaborative Learning Study Room and the business communities who sponsored the interactive storefronts, a lot of our local businesses. Ace Hardware, we have a veterinary office. We've had a lot of really cool things that have come out as a result of this renovation. Because of this, we are going to have a truly exceptional library. Now, the construction is actually scheduled to be completed by December 16th. followed by furniture deliveries and moving in January, and we will have a celebration in February. And I can tell you that right now there are people out there asking to help move the library again. We truly are going to have a state-of-the-art library, and I think that we all need to be very proud of it and brag to the world, because we'll have the best one in the county. But I also want to give a special thanks to the Arrowhead Library Systems for the use of their rented space for us to do our meetings and other smaller activities that the library does.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just have a question, Anissa. If we're going to have everybody doing reports on the committees, can we change this to committee reports?
Sure. Yep, we
Instead
can.
of alder reports,
Yep.
so that we have a little more information out there for the public?
Yep.
Thank you.
Certainly. The other comment that I would make is that it was a very well attended Mary Milton holiday on Saturday. It was really fun to do the proclamation again. And I want to thank Nate Rogers for the lights, and also the community that donated for putting up the lights. And a special shout out to the DPW guys, who I understand gave some Menards rebate money to finish the lighting, and we wouldn't have the whole thing complete without it. So, that is such a great community effort. It's a new event, so it's always growing each year. And it was just fun to see everybody down at the bonfire and interacting with Santa. So I just want to thank all of the volunteers that make that happen. I was working on the Christmas walk on Sunday, another great event. I was at the Chamber House. It was super cool. So, it just shows how the Milton community continues to support all of these events and the things that they value. So thank you to everyone. Staff reports, City Administrator.
As we come to the end of the year, seems that the end of the year is always the busiest for us, as we have a number of larger items that get wrapped up. Obviously, the budget last week was one of the larger outputs that we have as staff. The police contract, again, was another larger culmination of efforts throughout the year. Tax bills were received today and will be mailed out shortly. That's another undertaking that takes a little bit of time on our part. So as the year kind of comes to a close, it seems like everything kind of culminates in the last month. So I appreciate all the efforts from all the staff, everybody from DPW out there plowing this weekend, to the police group helping with the contract, and the library continuing to work hard to be complete by their end date, and things are moving along well. And Elena worked over the weekend on the recount. It really is a tremendous group of people that we have working in this organization, and very rarely do I hear people complain about the atmosphere or things of that nature. So it's a good group of people that appreciate it, and they really do truly have the best interests of the community at heart. So
Thank you. Joint Fire, Chief of Police. How is your training going? The new training that we're doing, the partnership.
It's going well. We're meeting quarterly. We're planning the next one for February. So that is going well. What I wanted to report on tonight is yesterday we took delivery of 7 rifle vests and 11 helmets. So we've begun distribution of that, and once again want to publicly thank everyone who donated. I'm still blown away by the amount of money we raised and what we were able to do with it. I have finished about 50 thank you notes and licked every envelope myself. Those are going out in the mail. So thanks for everybody who played a part in that. So we're getting those helmets out to the officers, vests in the cars. We're at that February training. Hopefully we can train with them a little bit, because they're going to be a little tricky to figure out how to do the tactics we need to do while wearing them. So we're going to have to practice. But I think that's a good thing. So thanks all.
City Clerk, Deputy Treasurer.
A couple things. I just want to let everyone know that I do have papers for people to pick up if they want to run for an an alder position, mayor, or municipal judge. So I've got packets that it has all the information. I also have an additional informational packet put out by the county clerk and our very astute reporter, Becky Knabel, was kind enough to point out to me that there wasn't information regarding fourth-class cities, which is what Milton is due to our population size. And so I did handwrite those numbers in that all citywide offices in our city would need 50 to 100 signatures.
Thank you.
Is that for both mayor and council?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have people who are running so far?
Nobody's turned papers in.
Director of Public Works. Oh, did you want to talk about the recount?
I guess the recount, we were up for the recount on Sunday, and everything went really well, and our numbers were spot on. Nothing changed, so it was really successful. We have great election workers that obviously we couldn't have done it without them, and how much care they take in running everything and making sure that everything is done correctly. So a big thank you to all of our election inspectors.
And you also?
Thank you.
Director of Public Works.
Nothing out of the ordinary. There's sand down at the garage if people need it for their sidewalks.
Director of the Library.
We had our first walkthrough of the library punch list with the architect and staff, and it was just minor cosmetic things, so that looked really good. That was on the second floor. This Thursday, the library will be closed for staff training on the new systems for the library, and then we'll do another walkthrough of the first floor then, and I anticipate that being the same. So it's looking good for our completion date in December. We have our furnishings coming in January. And then we'll be moving, and then we will be ready for a February grand opening. So, and I just wanted to highlight one special program we have this month. We have another partner with the Milton Senior Living. We're hosting a party there on December 23rd. I believe it's in the morning, and it's inviting kids 4 to 11 and a caregiver. And we're going to do projects with the kids and the residents there. So I'm hoping we'll get a lot of people to come for that. So
Great. Finance Director.
Nothing terribly exciting. Tax bills will be mailed this week. And then we have our prelim audit work in a couple of weeks also.
Awesome. All right. Maxine, it's all you.
To convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1, parent E,
And just,
Wisconsin
I'm
statute.
sorry, I'm just interrupting you, Maxine, that because of the prior action of the council, you can delete the reference, the wording relating to 1985 1E, because that references the police union contract, and then you can just include the second part of that, which is 1985 1G.
Read the first part and then stop pursuant.
Okay,
Pursuant to that. There you go.
okay.
To section.
Deliberate and negotiating.
Nope. The first line, consideration of a motion
Consideration of a motion to convene into closed section pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1, parent G, Wisconsin statutes, conferring with legal counsel for the common counsel who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the common counsel with respect to litigation which is or is likely to become involved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? All those opposed? Is that a unanimous vote? All righty. See you in closed session. Okay, we're back in open session. And Ms. Krebs, did you want to come up to the microphone and speak regarding any facts of the case, or would you like us just to go ahead and vote? No, we don't have any questions, but if you would like to make a statement, you can make a statement. Okay. And we're waiting to call our other council member, Dave Adams.
Okay. We're back in open session.
So if you wanted to make a statement, it's up to you. It'd have to be like, you're okay? Okay. Okay, okay, all right. All right, so is there a motion by the council?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the claim based on the recommendations of the city's insurance company.
There's a motion to deny the claim based on the recommendation of the city's insurance company. Is there any further discussion or debate or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries, and that's all we have for tonight.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.